Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to BrainStorming Episode 6 with
Brian McFadden
and Nick Tesla.
There's a battle on for your brain.
So let your brain evolve. We're going to have a blast today. Thank you very much for joining us. I would like to thank anybody out there that has stumbled across us for the first time. This show is a show basically to let your brain let your brain fire off some new neurons and stuff, I guess you could say. Is it neurons? Neural connections. There you go.
We're going to basically tell you some stuff that's going to make you think, and you're going to want to think more about it, and then go look up some more about it.
Basically we would like to help inhibit the creation of new neural connections. That is...
Whoa, you must be the smartest man on earth.
No. I've been watching, I watched 10 TED Talks in the last week.
I bet you drink toilet water.
I'll tell you what, I don't drink toilet water. I just drink the same stuff that comes out the tap. Yeah, it comes out my sink. Anyway, Brian.
Basically toilet water.
we got a wonderful show for us today. I think we should just dive right into it.
Let's do it.
So, what was our? Oh, there was that.
Lifestyle.
That was it. Okay,
designed.
yes, this was one that we held over from a couple episodes ago, and I demanded that we come back to it because one, it's not like a current event.
Are you tired of the 40-hour work week? Well, there's nothing you can do about it right now because it's there on purpose.
No, but that's bullshit that there's nothing you can do about it. There's everything
you
can do about it. One, you can live homeless. There's plenty of people out there who live homeless because they don't like that 40-hour system. Or you can start working to get yourself out of the 40-hour scam and 40-hour trick. What happens is we're brought up in life, Brian. We're brought up and told by our parents and everybody around us and our teachers and brothers and sisters. It's like you have to get a job, work 40 hours, and it's almost like the harder you work, the more people are prouder of you. It's not the more money you make, it's the harder you work. The job where you... Well, no, not even your work ethic. It's the more labor-intensive your job is, the more everybody else is willing to be like, man, you got a good job. Yeah, man, you're doing really good. Good for yourself. Like, unless you're a labor-intensive job, making $6 an hour, then you're going to feel like crap, and other people are going to be like, why don't you go make $10 an hour somewhere else? You know what I'm saying? But they're always like, everybody is always trying to limit you and tell you that the 40-hour work week is the way to go, especially if you're not going to go to college. And even if you do go to college, then 40-hour work week is the way to go. And it's like, that's a big issue. In my mind, that's a big issue with our society today, is that we push every child, we push into that situation instead of harboring creativity and just making sure that everybody contributes, but not everybody has to contribute in the 40-hour work week. You know what I'm saying? It really is a scam, and it's sad that a lot of people go their whole entire lives working the 40-hour work week, thinking that's what it's all about, thinking that, or like for the material things, like I work this 40-hour work week so that I can get this house and get this nice car and provide for my family. Of course you want to be able to provide for your family, but they think that's the pinnacle. That's life right there. So many people think that's life, is that 40-hour work week, and hopefully one day you can work your way up in a company where you don't have to really break your back to do the stuff. You can sit at a desk, but you know what? Hopefully that happens. But if it doesn't, you just got to do. I worked with a guy who was 50 years old, 53 or 54 years old, right? And this dude did the exact same job I did. And he was more labor intensive than I was. I guess in my mind, I think work smarter, not harder. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you do have to work hard. That's never an excuse not to work hard. But you work smarter, not harder. Don't overexert yourself. Don't take a chance on breaking your back, breaking your leg, something stupid like that.
Very true.
To make $10 an hour or $13 or $14 an hour. It's like that's never worth it, right? But this guy was 52, 53, 54 years old. I can't remember. He was over 50 years old, right? And was miserable and couldn't understand why he was miserable. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this dude's just been working his ass off, and everybody else tells him around him, like, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. And it's like, that's the right thing to do. Work your ass off, bust your ass. Okay, your back hurts, put some back patches on. Get some pills from the doctor and take care of that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, something is inherently
wrong with that?
Yes. Thank you for, oh man, Brian, we're so close, we finish each other's sentences.
Where were you on Valentine's Day?
Oh, Brian. All right, so basically, I came across this article. I actually wanted to read the whole article, and then we'll...
It's fairly long, though.
Is it fairly long? All right, then we're not going to read the whole article. We will read the first half of it each week. How about we do that? All right? Each week going forward until we finish it, obviously, we'll bring you this starting today. I don't know, there might be 5 parts, 6 parts, but starting today on Brainstorming 1 or Brainstorming 6.
10 pages.
PDF is 10 pages, but you also got to remember there's a lot of people who comment on things, and sometimes comments can go pretty far. And on something like this, where so many people work the 40-hour work week, you would think there would be a lot of comments. Let me actually check real quick. Yes, there are plenty of Facebook comments, and they go on and on and on.
I know our viewers can't see it right now, but the dollar bill picture in this article, right there.
Oh, yeah. It's got
that, I think that's what our money should actually look like in this country at this point in time.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I love how it says underneath of it, this is your God.
Right.
It's funny. No independent thought. Marry and reproduce. Consume. You need this. Buy. Conform. Consume. Obey.
Authority.
Yep. It's a whole bunch of them, man.
And it's all right out of They Live. That's another great thing. It's the They Live money.
It is They Live money. It's pretty funny. All right, well, let me read this article before.
Is a cool picture. I'd like to make that a poster and put it behind us.
My take on the 40-hour work week, basically, right before I read this, and I don't want to touch on it too much more after that. I'd like to hear your thoughts, actually, after I read this. This is my thought on 40-hour work week before I can even read it. 40-hour work week, for some people, it's necessary. You got to take care of your family. You know what I'm saying? You got to do what you got to do. And for some people, that's easy. A lot of people want that 40-hour work week because you know what? You go to work 9 to 5, whatever it is, 8 to 4 or 7 to 3. You know what I'm saying? They go to work, they come home, relax time, chill time to watch some TV, maybe barbecue up some burgers, sit back, drink a beer. Hey, maybe the Flyers are on tonight or the Phillies are on tonight. Hey, maybe I'll go to a game or something. You know what I'm saying? For them, that 40-hour work week provides for them. They can feed their family, and they can have luxury and entertainment. They can have cable TV, a comfy couch to sit on, maybe even like a man cave or something if they're lucky. But that's life. That's comfortable for them, and that's a 40-hour work week. That's if you want that, you get yourself a 40-hour work week and work up to get to making enough money where you can afford those kind of things. But if you want more out of life, it doesn't mean that. I'm not saying if you want more out of life money-wise. Yeah, if you want more out of life money-wise, 40-hour work week ain't going to be for you, no matter what. You're not going to find, unless you are already in a job where you're making $40 or $50 an hour, and the top limit is $300, $400 an hour, and you're on your way to it, then maybe a 40-hour work week is going to work out for you. Maybe it kind of does work out for you. But if you're interested in making millions of dollars, you're not going to be working 40 hours. You are going to be working 40 hours a week. You're going to be working a lot more than 40 hours a week, but you're not going to be working the 40-hour work week for somebody else. You're going to be doing 40 hours and more, probably even 80 hours
running
of work
your own
each week.
Business, probably.
It's not always running your own business, but yes, and when you think of it, it's the entrepreneurial mindset. But there's also the other side of the coin where you don't have to work the 40-hour work week, and you can live peaceful. You can, there's been people who have worked the 40-hour work week for 10 years of their life and then moved to Africa or moved to I don't say Antarctica, but moved somewhere crazy like Alaska or something and just started living a simple life. They lived the 40-hour work week, made good money, were making $150,000 a year, saved up $300,000-400,000, went out into Alaska, bought themselves a house out in the wilderness, had enough money to survive. They're not they started living a meager life, and they got away from the 40-hour work week. And it's like, oh my God. They're not homeless. They're, you know what I'm saying? There's been people who have been in a 40-hour work week. The problem is you have to, it's not a problem. You have to work in order to make money. But see, my thing is, if we were smarter, if a lot of people were smarter about it, they would work to make as much money as they can, as quickly as they can. And be careful not to get greedy and make just outrageous amounts of money you'll never be able to spend, right? Oh, wow. But work to get all that and then live a meager lifestyle or a regular lifestyle off of that a lot of money that you've made. You know what I'm saying? And you can wake up whenever you want every day. You know what I'm saying? To have a stupid business. Keep yourself busy. You know what I'm saying?
The problem is people want to spend that money as soon as they get it and get the newest car.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that are able to, people that want away from the 40-hour work week, and they don't want away from the 40-hour work week because they want more, and they want to be able to make more money and this and that, and they want to be able to dictate their life as far as financially. There's people who step away from the financial system and step away from the 40-hour week. Those are the people I'm talking about who have the ability to do that and do step away, and it's like you're not stepping away so that you can make a whole lot of money. You're stepping away because you've worked enough of the 40-hour work week and realized I don't need a bigger house. I don't need the nicer car. I don't need like all these new material things that everybody's working towards. I don't need credit card debt. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to go shopping at the mall. It's like those people step away from everything and they're completely content and happy. It's really the 40-hour work week is the trap to make everybody miserable. You know? All right, you ready, Brian? I'm going to read this article, and then I want to hear what you got to say about the article, okay?
And then we have to move on very quickly.
So quickly.
We have a lot to talk about today.
We're only 10 minutes in. But yes, I will move in. Or I will get through this very quick. All right, well, and this is from idealistrevolution.org. Well, I'm in the working world again. I found myself a well-paying gig in the engineering industry, and life finally feels like it's returning to normal after my 9 months of traveling. Because I had been living quite a different lifestyle while I was away, this sudden transition to 9-to-5 existence has exposed something about it that I overlooked before. Since the moment I was offered the job, I've been markedly more careless with my money. Not stupid, just a little quick to pull out my wallet. As a small example, I'm buying expensive coffees again, even though they aren't nearly as good as New Zealand's exceptional flat whites, and I don't get to savor the experience of drinking them on a sunny cafe patio. When I was away, these purchases were less offhanded, and I enjoyed them more. I'm not talking about big extravagant purchases. I'm talking about small scale casual promiscuous spending on stuff that doesn't really add a whole lot to my life, and I won't actually get paid for another 2 weeks. In hindsight, I think I've always done this when I've been well employed, spending happily during the flush times, me as well. Having spent 9 months living a no income backpacking lifestyle, I can't help but be a little more aware of this phenomena as it happens. I suppose I do it because I feel I've regained a certain stature now that I am again an amply paid professional, which seems to entitle me to a certain level of wastefulness. There is a curious feeling of power you get when you drop a couple of 20s without a trace of critical thinking. It feels good to exercise that power of the dollar when you know it will grow back pretty quickly anyway. What I'm doing isn't usual at all. Everyone else seems to do this. Isn't unusual at all. Everyone else seems to do this. In fact, I think I've only returned to the normal consumer mentality after having spent some time away from it. One of the most surprising discoveries I've made during my trip was that I spent much less per month traveling foreign countries, including countries more expensive than Canada, than I did as a regular working Joe back home. I had much more free time. I was visiting some of the most beautiful places in the world. I was meeting new people left and right. I was calm and peaceful and otherwise having an unforgettable time. And somehow it cost me much less than my humble 9-to-5 lifestyle here in one of Canada's least expensive cities. It seems I got much more for my dollar when I was traveling. Why? Because when you're trapped in this system, my thought on that. And we'll move on. We're going to move on from this, and we'll come back to it. It's a pretty interesting article. If anybody wants to check it out themselves, go check out idealistrevolution.org, and it's Your Lifestyle Has Already Been Designed, the real reason for the 40-hour work week. But I look at that as while you're in the 40-hour work week, and it's the biggest challenge. It's the hardest challenge, Brian, and it's like me and you struggle with it. I know both of us do, is while you're in the 40-hour work week, and I don't even get my full 40 hours, but I get close to it now.
Half the time.
I get close to it now. I'm getting closer. It feels good. But
depends how busy we are.
The thing is, once you're wrapped up in that, the 40-hour work week is designed to stress you out and make you say, okay, well, that was one extreme, that stress, so now I need the other extreme of relaxation and ultimate relaxation or ultimate entertainment. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And whereas when you're not part of the 40-hour work week, your mind isn't wrapped up in that, well, I need this, I deserve this, I've worked hard this week, or you know what I'm saying, I'm tired, like I need 10 hours of sleep tonight. It's like your mind, like I've been unemployed in the past 10 years, probably maybe 2 years out of the past 10 years, or a year and a half out of 10 years, I was unemployed, and there was one time where I was, to be honest, I was living on fucking unemployment, right? And while I was living on unemployment, I knew I was getting a year of unemployment. And there was no rush whatsoever within me. And that year, knowing that I had a paycheck coming in, or knowing that I had a check coming in that I had earned or whatever, that year was like one of the most freeing years of my life. I no longer was, I need to go to bed at this time. I need to get my 8 hours or my 10 hours of sleep. I need to get, what do you call it? Like, I need to get up in the morning and I got to be refreshed and I got to, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I wasn't in that whole mindset. I was outside of that mindset. I woke up when I wanted to wake up. It was nice. I went for a walk because I felt like going for a walk, and it was nice out. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Right.
like your mind is in a completely different state, and it's like some people get to that state on the weekend, and it's like good for them, especially people who like to go camping and fishing and stuff like that. It's like they're able to pull themselves away from it and get into that mindset. But it's like when you're able to live that mindset every day, you feel free. You're happy. You know what I'm saying? It's like your mind opens up to all the possibilities for yourself, and not just, oh, well, maybe I can get a better job. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I could get a better job. Maybe I can make a little more money, or maybe I can get a less stressful job. And it's like we dominate our thinking so much dominate our thinking so much in our lives with thinking about our jobs. And it's like really on our deathbeds, is our jobs what really mattered? No, it's how we spend our free time. You know what I'm saying? It's how we interacted with people. Were we nice to people? How we treated the people in our family and the people we love and this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we think about. We don't think about, like, I worked hard, I did good. Maybe some people do, but I wholeheartedly believe deep down inside of me, I think this is a universal truth, is every single person that is on their deathbed saying, I worked hard, I did good, I worked my ass off, I'm happy. Yeah, I might be dying of lung cancer because I worked around asbestos, but you know what? I'm happy because I worked hard. I feel every single one of those people that dies happy because they worked hard realizes the moment they separate from their body, the moment they move on, that wasn't what mattered. That wasn't what mattered at all. Unless, like, their job was, like, their friendships, and that was, like, why they loved their job so much, because their friendships mattered so much with the people at their job, not really the job itself, and they're not dying and saying, I worked hard. They're dying saying, you know what? I had a good life. I enjoyed my life. I might not have had the best job, but I really liked working with those people. They were like family to me. Like, those people, I think they die and they're like, they still feel good. You know, they go on with that feeling. But people who die like, I worked hard. I worked hard and made a lot of money. I did the system good, right?
I think
those people die and they're just like,
they feel like unfinished business.
No, it's not even unfinished business. They're just like, that wasn't what it was about. Yeah. Fuck. And like, if there's reincarnation, they're like, where do I sign up? I want to go back. Exactly. I don't care if it takes me 10, 15 years to get back into the mindset where I can think properly and think like an adult. I want to go back. I need to go back to give this another shot. I can't believe that I did that. I can't believe that I said, I worked hard. That's what it was all about. You know what I'm saying? It's like, as soon as you die, you're like, no, that wasn't what it was all about. I could have not worked my entire life and still had that, like, still been extremely happy. I could have been the poorest person on earth and still been extremely happy. Yep. You know? All right, moving on, Brian. What was our next one? Something about some kids learning something?
Kids may be learning something, but it isn't U.S. history.
Woo!
Now, my first thought here is, wasn't Common Core No Child Left Behind? Aren't we supposed to make sure that all kids have an equal opportunity to learn the same thing?
Now, did you read any of the articles for this week?
If they're not learning, then what are they learning?
Did you read any of the articles for this week? Because I only read like 2 or 3 of them.
This
is not one of them.
This is one that I read.
Is this about revisionist history? Is this about like Common Core and stuff?
The National Assessment of Educational Progress. They held this test to see random kids across the U.S., different demographics and whatnot, their knowledge of 8th graders' knowledge of U.S. history.
Okay. And
based on what an 8th grader should know about U.S. history.
Okay.
All right, nationally, 8th graders' average scores on the NAEP U.S. History, Geography, and Civics assessment showed no significant change in 2014 compared to 2010. The last assessment year. However, several student groups have made gains. In 2014, 18% of 8th graders performed at or above the proficient level in U.S. history, 27% performed at or above proficient level in geography, 23% performed at or above proficient level in civics. Students performing at or above proficient level on NAEP assessments demonstrate solid academic performance and competency over challenging subject matter. Even the best performing subset of students, as a group, flunk miserably when it comes to knowing their U.S. history.
Brian!
Students of Asian descent did the best, but still managed only 33%
Look at him trying to bring race into it. Look at him trying to bring race into it, even though it's the article bringing the race into it. Look at him trying to bring race into it.
Oh, yeah.
Brian,
would you like to know who scored 6%?
Brian. We know that we like to talk about issues, and this is an issue or a problem. I guess you could consider it a problem. But we like to talk about solutions
Yes.
What's the solution to this? Because what do
First,
you...
we have to identify, is the problem that they're being taught misinformation, or is the problem they're not paying
They're being
attention
taught
to
revisionist
class?
history. What that's saying right there,
Or they
exactly.
could just not be paying attention because their minds could be wandering all over this TV show, this video game.
Yeah,
this movie,
and
this
also the
date
ADD
next
society and this and that. But
Oh,
also,
eighth
Brian, hold
grade,
on.
this hormone
Brian.
starting to kick in.
If we know how children are, do we say this is who you're supposed to be, or do we cater for them? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think of a Montessori school, if you ever heard of Montessori school, they do things a little bit differently. It's pretty crazy. But what do you remember from school with all these subjects, Brian? Geography, civics,
Read
history.
It out of the book, repeat.
No.
and
But
you
what
get
do you
it.
remember? That shit was boring as fuck. That shit was so boring, Brian. That was
I
the
like
most
history,
boring stuff.
actually.
No.
That's one of my favorite classes.
You can like history all you want, Brian, but the way it's presented in the textbooks and in the
True,
curriculum
yeah.
is boring as fuck. And I don't know, maybe it's just maybe
You have
it's
to have the right
it's-
teacher.
Maybe it's just my life. But my history teacher, okay? My first history teacher was Mr. like hoity-toity, holier-than-thou religious guy who went to Africa for like 10 years or 5 years or something with his family and came back and thought that he was better than everybody else because he went to Africa and constantly wanted to show people videos of his trip and his family's trip to Africa and how like they're so unique and they're so like cultured and this and that, right? And he's also the guy who I had an argument with many times. He believed that animals and pets had no soul, and when a pet dies, it just rots in the ground, or it just
What?
rots. Yep, and it doesn't have a soul.
I want to meet this
Yeah,
man.
and I was like, hold up, you're holier than thou Christian, and you believe that? And he's like, yes, humans
That's
are the
messed
only
up.
people that have souls. And I was like, you know what?
Wow.
And I was like, how are you even like? And I remember thinking in my head, I never brought it up because I liked having the argument with him. I wanted to prove him wrong or wanted to admit that he might be wrong. But I was like, how are you going to be a teacher trying to talk about what has a soul and doesn't? Like, such a philosophical question. It's like, this isn't even close to a philosophy class. This is world history. World History 1, right? Well, that dude was a kind of a dick. He looked like Mr. Clean. That dude was a dick. And then my next history teacher for the rest of my, for the rest of my schooling, it looked like an Indian. Looked like a white guy that somehow had made himself look like an Indian. And his whole face was like drooping off his fucking skull. It looked like he had the most droopiest eyes. Like, it looked like he was just, everything was just drooping. It was really crazy. It looked like the crying Indian with a real droopy face. He like dressed like an Indian, but when he talked like this. And it was funny because he was a stoner teacher, and he would go out on his lunch break and get stoned. It was funny because he would come back and be even quieter than normal.
Wow.
But he was still extremely boring. And when you're reading the textbook, it's kind of extremely boring. And I'm not saying, like, I'm sure for you, it was probably a lot less boring than it was for me. But you were able to, like, kind of get into it and find interest in it. But it's like, for
Yeah,
a lot
the
of
way they
times,
present it is kind of boring.
School's mission is to not cater to the child, but find a way to teach a child while making it interesting for them. Not make it as boring as possible, so that they don't absorb any of it, so that they're not interested or they have no interest in paying attention. You know what I'm saying? But maybe that's why they make world history and U.S. history so boring, because of revisionist history, and they don't want anybody to really have any kind of a passion for history and really be like, oh man, I had the best history teacher in the world. He taught me so much. It's like those kind of things are squashed out a little bit or not encouraged, because they don't want people to really look into revisionist history and see, especially now that there's so much information on the internet, shared on the internet now. Well, a lot of it, I don't want to say a lot of it, some of it is false information, but some of it is positive and truthful information that contradicts our version of history that we've been taught. All right, Brian, can we move on?
We can.
All right, cool. Do you wanted to talk about Deflategate? I had something I wanted to say on Deflategate myself. Even though, keep in mind, people, we don't touch on sports too often, but this is...
We do touch on conspiracies, and this is a conspiracy that was in the mainstream media that everyone's like, nah, it's BS. No, they deflated the footballs. No, they didn't deflate the footballs. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they deflated the footballs.
Well, apparently
Tom Brady was caught texting with one of the ball handlers before the game, talking about it. It was a conspiracy. The Patriots cheated and won again.
Jim Kelly actually came out. I believe it was Jim Kelly came out back in the day, back in like 1993 or 1994, on a Philadelphia radio station, sports radio, talk radio station, right? And came out and said that, to his knowledge, that has been something, and this is back in 1994, he said this on the radio. To his knowledge, that is something that has happened since he can remember in football. And since anybody can remember in football. Since the forward pass has been advented, and the modern-day football that we have now, that deflating the ball a little bit has just been something that almost every team has done. All right, and this was in 1994. I typed in Deflategate, right, into Google, and somehow came across the original Deflategate. This isn't the first Deflategate. There's a shitload of Deflategates.
Okay.
Did you know this?
I did not.
They sweep this shit under the rug because they want you to roo, rah, rah. This is my team. I love the Carolina Panthers. I love the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm done. This year, I'm going to start. Hey, you got to fucking earn my trust, all right? So the NFL, peace. I'm done. I'm interested slightly in the Eagles and how that team plays out. But I'm no longer like, fuck the Cowboys, yo. Fucking Eagles. I'm done with that shit, dude. I'm fucking done, okay? Because it's a fucking scam. The whole fucking team mentality fucking leads to us thinking it's okay to fucking bomb innocent people in other countries. Because my team, man, you pissed off my team.
Actually,
you want to fight my team.
I just want to touch on, I'm glad the way you said that is perfect. I heard earlier this week, and I don't even remember where it came out, but it came out
What you talking about, Willis?
Whenever an NFL team scores a touchdown, the NFL gets paid to immediately show troops in the crowd. So your mind is associated with your team scoring with troops and winning, you know.
Yep.
Winning the fight.
Oh, yeah, it's all propaganda, man.
They get paid like $200,000
I remember watching, was it the Super Bowl halftime show? No. You know what it was? I believe it was the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. I believe it was the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. They did, and it was like, it wasn't the exact anniversary, but it was a couple days off, or a couple days before, a couple days after, right? And they did I think it was even opening weekend or something like that for the NFL. Or it was opening weekend a week or something before the 10-year anniversary.
Oh, if anyone cares, right? The team that cheated the most in history is the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers.
To yourteamcheats.com.
All right,
continue.
What was I saying?
You were talking about the first game of the season on 10-year
anniversary. Okay, yeah, okay, all right. It was the opening ceremonies for the NFL, which they do every year, right?
Yep.
And they did this whole like patriotic thing, right? But during the patriotic thing, they started talking about. They had people like one of these things where it's like a heart-touching video. They go to the video, like they get the flag on the field and the troops unfolding the flag, the giant field-sized flag. They're unfolding it on the field, and then all of a sudden they transition to this video, and it's like, my husband went to war, and when he went to war, he said that he was fighting for the blah, 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 and fighting for our freedoms. And our right to be Americans, and these people, they didn't like us, and and it's all this shit, right? And with the like the music going in the background, it's all like sappy bullshit, right? And at least like 2 or 3 of the fucking people that they had talking were like, well, we're fighting for democracy. We're fighting for our democracy here. This is important. And it's like, I remember sitting there with my family, and it was right after I woke up, and I was like, this is bullshit. And they're like, what do you mean this is bullshit? What's wrong with you? Like, this is so heart-touching, and, like, I'm ready to cry. And I was like, no, this is bullshit. We don't live in a democracy. Why the fuck are they sitting here on the NFL, like, with almost every American watching the opening day weekend bullshit? Why are they sitting here saying we're fighting for our democracy, and the United States democracy is a great thing? And it's like, we're not a fucking democracy. We're a republic. And they can't address that? They can't even have one person talking about the Republic and how the fucking Republic is something we want to fight for and this and that? No, because it's all just propaganda, and they're filling in people's heads with the lies and just the concurrent story. Yeah, we all know it's a republic, but anytime you hear it talked about on a major level, we're talking about democracy, babe.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about democracy. Fuck the republic. That's the way it's treated, and it's like, fuck that. All right, on the biggest cheaters, dude, all right?
Yeah, let's hear this.
There's the biggest cheats, too. We'll look at that one in a second. The Philadelphia Eagles are number 9th overall of all time.
Real quick, top 10.
They're above average.
According
NFL
to this
cheaters.
website, your team cheats.
I'll let Ryan read off the top 10 here. Go ahead, Brian.
All right, the top 10, I guess you would say, cheatingest teams in the history of the NFL.
Top 10 biggest cheaters in the history of the NFL.
Number 1 is the Denver Broncos with a cheat score of 49.
Peyton Manning, man. I'm telling you, he's why we're so good. I'll
And
tell
then,
you, John Elway.
Number 2, the Pittsburgh Steelers. 3, the New York Jets. The Washington Redskins. The Indianapolis Colts, rounding out the top 5.
Yep.
Then we get into number 6, cheater with a score of 35, is the New York Giants.
Whatever that means. They say they're an exceptional
Tied
NFL
with
cheater.
the Giants at 35 is the Baltimore Ravens. 8th on the list, we go to the San Francisco 49ers, followed closely by number 9, Nick's Philadelphia Eagles.
They are not my Philadelphia Eagles anymore.
One of my
Dick.
bitter rivals as a Panthers fan, the Atlanta Falcons, you cheating shits. I bet Vic was in every one of those games.
Oh, I don't know. It's actually, if anybody wants to check this out, I don't know how I stumbled across this, but it's pretty
I'm
interesting.
curious, is Carolina on this list?
Carolina's definitely on the list, but
yeah,
they're
look how
one
far
of
down we are. We're 20th out of
You're
32 teams.
out of 32 teams. Don't act like you're number 28
Okay,
or
number
anything.
9.
Don't act like you're number 8 or
Okay, number
anything.
9, the Patriots, if
Or
anyone,
28 or
only
anything.
16, the New England Patriots, for all the times they've been caught in
Exactly. So you
Videotapings and
hold on.
deflatings and-
the underlying mindset that we're kind of pushed sometimes is that the Patriots are fucking cheaters. Like, especially if you're an
Yeah.
Eagles fan.
Bill Belichick's
You're like,
a cheater.
Spygate, they're fucking cheaters, man. We know they're fucking cheaters, right? And it's like, no, they're just the ones that
Got caught. They
not
fucked
got
up.
caught. They're the ones that.
Well, remember, the
It
Saints
was
had
publicized
Bountygate.
a little
The
bit
Saints
more.
had Bountygate. They're number 17, right
It's almost like
behind New
that's
England.
America's team. So by default, if they cheat, sometimes it's going to leak
Okay,
out a little bit
I'm
more
taking
than
a
any other
moral
team.
victory here. Out of the 4 teams in the NFC South, Carolina is the lowest ranked on this list. The other 3, Tampa, Atlanta, New Orleans, you're all fucking cheaters.
Well, if you look at these lined up next to how many Super Bowl rings or AFC/NFC championship game wins or championship rings, whatever, if you line these up, it would be pretty interesting. Because if you look at the last team on here,
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars have not been good since their inception.
Their cheat score is only a 12. That's why they never do good.
They are the
If they would
feeblest.
cheat like everyone else, they would do better.
Does that
Come
tell
on,
you something about the
Jacksonville, get on
world,
the bandwagon.
or does that just tell you something about the whole system that we have in place? It's like if you cheat,
you win.
you win. It's kind of sucks. So South Park's done some pretty interesting
Well, look at New England.
episodes on that.
They cheated. They won the Super Bowl. They
So,
cheated. They won another Super Bowl.
your team
they cheated
cheats.
again. They won another Super Bowl. This year they didn't cheat. They didn't win the Super Bowl, but they went 18-0 before the Super Bowl. Okay, this next year, they cheated again. Guess what? They won a Super Bowl.
All right, Deflategate in 2004. Jeff
Philadelphia
Blake.
Eagles.
Okay,
Oh!
Jeff Blake confessed in an interview that removing air from
Eagles
footballs
did it.
was common when he played in the NFL from 1992 to 2005. This is what he said, okay? I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. Every team does it every game. It has been since I played. Okay? Midday.
I
Because
like how Nick leaves out the part where it says Philadelphia Eagles quarterback retired.
Ex-Eagles
NFL,
QB Jeff
ex-Eagles
Blake, who is,
quarterback.
hold on, Jeff Blake
There you go.
literally only
Make sure
played.
you put that Philadelphia Eagles
I said Jeff
quarterback.
Blake. Yeah, he was a quarterback. He played for the Eagles for four games, I believe. He was signed
for the
a
Eagles.
season.
Oh, wait, I just realized 2004. This came out the year y'all lost.
But he's talking about every game, not just
Yeah.
the Eagles. He wasn't with the Eagles his whole career. He's talking
No.
about in the NFL in general, right? This is what he said. Because when you take the balls out of the bag, they're rock hard, and you can't feel the ball as well. It's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody puts the pin in and takes just enough air out of the ball that you can feel it a little better. But it's not the point to where it's flat. So I don't know what the big deal is. It's not something that's been done for 20 years. Okay, so I said he had admitted that it was done for 20 years. But if it was done then, why wasn't it done before? If the balls are too hard, isn't that just like, okay, yeah, just stick a pin in, get it a little bit softer, you're good to go, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just kind of the thing.
And there was probably no rule against it. Or maybe there was. I don't know.
man, that's the
That'd
thing.
be
It's like,
interesting to look in the rule books.
how many rules are not really checked on or not really followed up on? You know what I'm saying,
You
bro?
said there was something here about what the different cheats are.
Yeah, each team has their own cheats. That's what I'm saying. Everybody's got to check this shit out
Pedsgate.
themselves. Pedsgate 11 times since 2003. That's insane. And salary cap gate.
I don't
Denver Broncos,
even know
man, they're
what
bad.
Pedsgate was. performance-enhancing drugs.
Yes,
okay.
but hey.
Yes.
Everybody likes the Seahawks are paid to use, but the Broncos have been much worse. Whoa! All right, so everybody check it out, yourteamcheats.com. It's pretty interesting. It kind of gives you an idea how you think you know your sports. You think SportsCenter is telling you everything, and ESPN and Comcast Sportsnet, they're going to tell you everything. Not necessarily.
I'm actually sending myself a message. They kind of have to myself about this website.
They're kind of like the mainstream media of sports. They're not going to tell you. They got interests to protect. They have sponsors, and like, you think the NFL is going to give them games? They're going to give them Monday night games or Sunday night games, or NBA is going to give them the All-Star game or something like that? If they'll let somebody come on talking about how they cheat and this and that, if it becomes a major issue and everybody's talking about it, they talk about it for a week and try and sweep it under the rug and get past it.
I'm just curious. I really got to know. Click Carolina real quick for me. Take 30 seconds. See how we cheated.
Oh, you pain in my ass. I don't give a shit. Headsgate. Okay. Performance-enhancing drugs. But you guys weren't too bad.
Julius Peppers 02.
Yeah. Lee Ziemba in 2012 and Andre Neblet. Look at that.
I don't even know who Lee Ziemba is.
Well,
he was a guard in 2012.
Yeah, they were punished for 4 games.
Steroid Gate 2004. Wowzers.
Steroid Gate, yeah.
I didn't know I don't recall this.
The report said that the Panthers players had prescriptions for steroids filled at a South Carolina pharmacy. It didn't say whether they actually used the steroids, but all 3 players repeatedly refilled the prescriptions. In one case, 10 times.
Wowzers.
That's your team. And Heatergate. What is Heatergate?
I've never. What the hell?
The entire league. Okay, so there wasn't any. It couldn't have been that bad because they just got a warning. Cheapskate. That's kind of funny. Sherrod Martin and Greg Hardy. Okay, for cheap hits, okay.
Yeah.
And then they're part of Tampergate ongoing. There's a bunch of stuff.
Wow.
So I'm saying it's an interesting site. It's an interesting site, Brian. Also wanted to tell everybody that I found this on The Guardian, Guardian.com. The baseball's own Deflategate happened years ago and was much better. I don't know. I didn't get. I just saw this as we were pulling this up for the show. I saw this and was like, I typed in Deflategate and this came up and I was like, oh my god, I want to read that. I don't know if this is the Sammy Sosa corked bat thing or if this is something completely else. It looks like it might be a little bit longer ago than Sammy Sosa. The NFL is the only sports league where illegal ball tampering is a thing. Years before Deflategate, Major League Baseball had Gaylord Perry.
Oh.
All right, so this is just it. Gaylord Perry was tampering with balls long before Tom Brady made headlines for it. Gaylord Perry.
1974?
Yep. And look at this. If you want to find out about it, just look into this. Gaylord Perry not only admitted to throwing a spitball during his 22-season career, which is illegal in Major League Baseball, which is basically I believe it's spitting on your fingers, and it gives your fingers a little bit more grip or whatever. He wrote a trolling book before trolling was even a term titled Me and the Splitter, The Candid Confessions of Baseball's Greatest Spitball Artist, or How I Got Away With It, in 1974, smack in the middle of his prime. Talk about ballsy, man. Tom Brady ain't got no balls. He might have Gisele Bündchen, but he ain't got no balls, son. Yeah, or his balls are deflated, I'll tell you what. All right. That is interesting. If anybody want to check that out, that's on The Guardian. Just look up baseball Deflategate. So let's talk about Jazzy Jade Helm, Brian.
Well,
and
about a week or so ago, Chuck Norris wrote an article.
Chuck Norris is my illegitimate father.
He told the Pentagon, don't mess with Texas. Chuck Norris is afraid the U.S. government's going to invade the state of Texas this summer. Chuck, they already did. They invaded it a long time ago and took control of it and made it a state.
Well, I don't want to get into this too much. We're going to touch on ISIS a lot next week. I think we got a lot to follow up on ISIS and ISIL and everything. And, hey, we got to let them know.
And I love Chuck Norris, and I agree with what he said.
Hey, we love our country, but we know our...
had to throw that joke out.
We love our country, but we know our government's fucked up. But we're not interested in joining either or. We're not interested in fighting. We're interested in being peaceful and sharing perspectives with people. Okay.
And what I thought about this,
I don't want to get
there's
killed.
A lot of like movie stars, celebrities, actors, actresses, things of that nature.
Speaking up on it, but you almost feel like you have to, dude. Do you not feel like almost a sense of obligation that you have to speak up and say something? Do you not feel like you have to? And like Chuck Norris is kind of taking the. He's kind of taken the one side of it, of the conspiracy side, but there's also other people that are speaking out against ISIS, and those are the people that are getting killed. And we got to I don't know. Like that shouldn't be happening. We got to protect free speech in this country. You know,
like the people that threw that Draw Mohammed cartoon contest. Now, I'll say straight off the bat, that was probably not a smart idea to do that, especially in that area at that time.
Dude, honestly,
but again, you have your free speech. Technically, you should not be.
Honestly, I've thought about that many times, and I don't really know where I stand on that because it's so offensive. It's almost like, how did anybody allow it to happen? Especially when you find out it happened in a high school like auditorium or something like that. It happened as a part of a school function, a school art function or something like that. It's like, wait, what? But
it's
just, I don't know. It's scary. I don't even know what I was going to say about it. It's just. It's weird to think that they would even do that because it's offensive to Americans.
But at the same time...
But then again, at the same time, you have the right to free speech. So there comes a point where, when do we say it's reaching a point of slander and not free speech? You know what I'm saying? Because that's almost like slander. But then again, I don't believe you need to... Here's my thing, okay? That's okay with me, them doing that. If nobody has a problem and nobody tries to arrest me or tries to shoot me or kill me or have a problem with what I'm doing or everybody needs to come to my defense, if I go out and I take a giant picture of Jesus and I start fucking drawing Hitler on him or I start drawing devil horns out in public, a real big thing of it, and I make a big display and I invite people to come see it and it's like a big event, how many Christians are going to be okay with that?
None.
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 How many police officers that are Christians are going to be okay with that?
None.
No, there's going to be some that are going to understand free speech, but there's going to be some that are like, no. There's going to be some that are going to harass you, and some that are going to like rip your shit apart, and like it's so that free speech is not allowed. You know what I'm saying? If you're attacking Christian values or anything like that, but when we're going to attack Muslim values, well, that's free speech. No, yeah, that's allowed because that's free speech. Well, we can't splice hairs here, man. We can't splice hairs. I'm sorry. Trust me, I have respect for people's religion and their faith, but I don't believe in religion myself, and I don't believe religion is really a good thing. But I have such a respect for faith, and I don't believe we should ever be attacking people's faith, whether that religion is a silly religion or not. The spaghetti monster is a silly religion. If you follow the Church of the Spaghetti Monster, that's a silly religion. But you know what? Do you see people attacking them? No. Like, really? And even if people were attacking them, you kind of gotta like take things lightly. But then again, your religion, part of your religion or your faith, might be not taking things lightly. But then again, the people, the Muslims that are out there, I was listening to NPR the other day, believe it or not, and I heard, or I don't know if it was NPR or some other talk radio station, but they had two Muslim guys call in, two Muslim Americans call in, right? And they went over all of the rhetoric that Fox News and MSNBC and all of them are putting out about Sharia law in the United States and how there's Muslim-only towns and Muslims don't feel welcome and they feel like outcasts and they feel like fucking scared for their lives and this and that. And it's like, these two guys were like, no, I feel like I'm a part of the community. I feel like an American. I feel like people have respect for me. They might not fully understand my religion, but I don't fully understand theirs, and that's okay. Like, I'm an American, they're an American. Like, we don't hate each other. We don't feel uncomfortable around each other. Yeah, I might have a Muslim grocery store that I go to, and they have ShopRite that they go to, but other than that, it's like there's not really many differences between us, and I'm not made to feel like I'm scared or I'm unwelcome. Like, I'm a part of the community, and what you're being told on TV is the opposite of how it truly is almost like we're being ostracized from the community and people are scared of us and thinks that we're all terrorists and this and that. And it's like, no. Yeah, there might be some certain towns or something like that where they have a Muslim or Islamophobia problem. But as far as en masse across the country, Muslims aren't hated. And the Muslims that are here don't hate us. It's not like they're like, oh, these people are so evil. They hate us. And it's like,
they make it sound rampant, like it's an epidemic.
There's something
all over the country.
You think about the
you say one thing
hold on. Think about the lead up to the Iraq War. Think about the lead up to the Iraq War. And all
there was true Islamophobia. Right?
But but think about all the propaganda that was fed to us to feed an end goal of going to Iraq and securing, going to Afghanistan and Iraq and securing assets. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be
I remember after 9/11,
or
people who owned like Muslim-owned stores were getting burnt to the ground and robbed, and shop owners were getting attacked, and it was just crazy.
They're going on that day or two of panic with so many Americans that did do that. I was one of those Americans. I went to a car dealership that was in, I think, Burlington or Willingboro on 130, right? Drove past this car dealership, and we had known, or somebody had said, like, yeah, there's a Indian dude or a Arab dude, I think that's what they call him. An Arab dude owns that car dealership, and look, he's got an American flag out front. Fuck him. So we rode up, and we had like 4 or 5 American flags up. You know how they decorate the front of a car dealership, right? So we kicked over like 4 of the American flags and took the big one. They had one big one, and the rest were small. So we kicked over all the small ones and took the big one. Like, you don't deserve to have these, motherfucker. And he wasn't outside or anything, but somebody said that there was an Arab that owned that place, so we did that. And I remember, like, I wasn't one of the people. Maybe I was one of the people who got out and kicked down the shit.
You just confessed to a federal offense on the air.
What do you mean? Do you know how many people did that on 9/11?
Defiling the American flag. You let it touch the ground. You just said you kicked it over.
Do you know how often the American flag is defiled?
I know.
Do you know how often the American flag is defiled?
You know how rare people confess to it, though? We discussed actually.
People
recently.
confess to it all the time. Do you know the American flag
fraternity in Florida pissing on it?
Well, you know the American flag on anything other used as anything like that is sold on a pair of pants, on a T-shirt, anything like that is illegal. Is a federal offense, and those companies come out and they do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like they people sell shit with the American flag on it all the time, and nobody gets in trouble because flag code is only very, very, very slightly enforced in this country. And then again, when it comes down to it, this isn't a country anymore, so the flag doesn't really mean shit. It's a corporation. Hi, Brian. So on that note, all I wanted to say was Jade Helm 15. Did they know that the ISIS leader, I'm doing air quotes for anybody out there because I don't know if the ISIS leader was our creation or an actual like guy out there that really had good reasons for hating America. I don't know. But I don't want to know. But I do kind of want to know, but I don't want to know. I just want to know what's about to happen, right? Because the leader of ISIS was killed and has come out and said that he hasn't come out. Obviously, he's dead. The rest of ISIS has come out and said that they're gunning for Obama. They're going to kill Obama, and they're going to kill all Christian Americans. And it's like, okay, Jade Helm 15. Anyone? Where are they going to come from? They ain't coming out of Canada.
They're coming out of Mexico. We've already established
exactly. And also, if you look online, a follow up to Jade Helm. Even though we did Jade Helm on a 3NN episode. But and
we spent a lot of time on
right before we started doing these.
We didn't really know anything.
We didn't know anything. Now we're knowing a lot.
Now we know much more.
If you look at these, there's a lot of videos of Walmarts. If you look at Walmart, just type in Walmart Jade Helm and look at recent videos. If you know how to look at search or filter your search results so you only see recent stuff. If you look at Walmart, type in Walmart Jade Helm, right? And you find some of these Walmarts where people are breaking into these Walmarts because they look like they're abandoned. They look like they're shut down, right? Some of them are being protected. Some of them have military or police guarding the parking lot entrance, right? But some of them you can get to, or the police are at the parking lot entrance, but that's literally a quarter of a mile that way, and you can come through the woods and get to the back of the store, and it looks like it's abandoned, right? Well, some of these people have come up to the stores, and the stores are being protected, and the entrances are all being protected, but some of them, the entrances aren't being protected, and these people are getting into the Walmarts. And the weirdest thing is, there's, in all of these Walmarts that people are getting into, there's a section cordoned off with shelves. Not like they built up, what do you call it, like plywood or something like that. They basically took all the shelves that were in the store and made a giant circle around something in the store. Like, my thought is, when you hear about the tunnel, people saying that there's tunnels that connect all these Walmarts, well, what would you do if the tunnel's directly underneath and you know exactly where that spot is? You cordon it off so anybody that sneaks into the store doesn't see what's going on there, the digging or whatever, but you start to dig down to that fucking tunnel and create your entrance. And all the supplies are down in there. Once you get down to it, all the supplies to create the actual tunnel hatch and all that are down in the tunnel waiting for you to crack into it and create the shit. There's an opening in the tunnel. It's concrete, but think about a 3 or 4 foot circular opening that is still the soil, where you could actually dig from the Walmart straight down to that fucking tunnel. As long as you go straight down from a certain point, you can go straight down and dig a tunnel. Think about that shit. That's what fucks my head up.
Another thing to look at with Jade Helm is there's got to be by now hundreds of videos of convoys of military vehicles being shipped into the United States. And also, there's our viewers can look up, type into your search
if you say
browser,
UN,
Turkish missile launchers in Texas woods.
okay. Yeah, no, yeah. Also, but there's a possibility, and I'm not going to touch on it any more than that because I've made a fool of myself before touching on something a little more than I needed to, or trying to convince people that it was a possibility. And hey, it's a possibility, but I'm not here to convince you that it's a possibility. You just gotta look into it yourself, and if you want to lose your mind looking into it, that's fine. But there's a possibility that at the end of September, if you also hear about the Shemitah, if you want to look up Shamita, I think it is, or Shemita, it's some prophecy, some ancient Jewish prophecy, but it's a Jewish prophecy. It's not a ancient Mayan prophecy or this or that. It's a Jewish prophecy that a lot of Jewish people are aware of, and it's like not some crazy conspiracy or this or that. It's pretty crazy stuff, but basically the Shemitah says at the end of September the apocalypse is coming, or basically the beginning of the end of the world, or the beginning of the end of this civilization is coming, or this incarnation of humanity is coming. And there's also a lot of speculation online about a 2.5 mile wide meteor or asteroid that could be slamming into Earth. They're fucking partying down there, dude. Who gives a fuck? 2.5 mile asteroid that could be slamming into the Earth at the end of September. And if that happens, think about if they were trying to figure out where it would be coming into our atmosphere, or at least like approaching the planet, so that they could set up all their missiles in one area to fire them all off at one time to try and destroy this thing. That's your only shot. And if you look up BBC End Day, just type in BBC Horizon End Day 2004. The Shemitah, yeah. I don't want to touch on the Shemitah.
Spellings for it.
But there's so much about the Shemitah. You can find a lot of information about the Shemitah. I'm not religious. To me, I look at that as a Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and it does talk a lot about the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. It's funny, but I'm not a Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse type of person. Even though I do like the phrase "Behold a pale horse," and there's another one. I think the Black Horse. Maybe are we on the Black Horse right now? The third horse. Basically, we're at the third horse. If there's Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, 3 of them have already arrived, and the 4th one is yet to. But maybe that's what's getting ready to happen. But I'm not religious, so I don't really believe all that kind of stuff. So the Shemitah is kind of religious, and in my mind, I'm not going to hook my ship or hook my anchor or whatever to a religious prophecy. I think every religious prophecy comes and goes, and they make up an excuse why it didn't happen as they predicted. Okay? What is this, Brian?
Oh, this is Colonel John Petkosik. He's the U.S. Army's Asymmetric Warfare Group commander out of Fort A.P. Hill.
Uh-huh.
And basically, he held this little press conference. It was like an hour-long video with C-SPAN where they had people call in, and they could ask questions about this training compound, the Asymmetric Warfare Training Center. Mm-hmm. Now, this thing became popular because InfoWars broke it a few months back.
Dude.
Now,
this
here's
is
what
awesome,
happened.
Though.
Now, here's what happened. InfoWars finds out that...
we reported on this.
Well, we did after I heard about it. It was the mock U.S. city that they built down at Fort A.P. Hill.
Okay.
It looks like a U.S. city. It has a Christian church. It has all the street signs in English. Everything's modeled after D.C. Metro.
Okay.
And it looks like this guy decided they're going to do this piece on C-SPAN where they're going to let callers call in and ask about it. Well, I think they got more than they bargained for, because people were calling in asking about Jade Helm, asking about martial law, asking why it had an American feel to it if it was for overseas urban
He's a mouthpiece, dude. He's just a mouthpiece. How does anybody expect him to be giving them the truth?
And he was giving BS answers and changing the subject.
Yep.
And what I want to say to the people that were buying into it, keep in mind, if you watch the video, whenever someone brought up something like, one caller, this woman calls in, I'm curious, I heard about this thing, Jade Helm, that's all over the news, and it's the way she approached it was like, yeah, I heard there's going to be, mock, infantry, and there's going to be actors and civilians taking part, and it sounds very interesting, and I'd like to know more about that. And he looks over to his left, and then quickly looks back at the camera. I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard of it. But we have these new robot soldiers coming out.
Dude. Well, that's what you got to understand is, especially right now, is they're not in damage control. It's more they have to make sure that we can stumble across what's really going on, but they have to make sure that nobody confirms that, nobody leaks what is actually going on. The actual plan right here. You have to stick to modus operandi of it is a training exercise to prepare us.
Every
for
soldier you talk to will tell you.
landscapes.
Every soldier, no matter what branch, no matter what level in that branch, or what rank, whatever you want to call it, or what unit, will tell you, you train where you're going to fight. Now, if you build a mock American city...
you do, but we've talked about this before, and we've touched on this plenty of times before. Well, not plenty of times, but when I think we even touched on our Jazzy Jade Helm episode of 3NN, is there's been exercises like this before. And they've gone off and they've happened. And they've happened in the past 20 years. They've happened a few times. There's been a couple. And one that was kind of a major one. And those soldiers might have been saying the exact same thing. Like, no, Mom, here, I'm telling you, you train where you're getting ready to fight. And we're trained, this is 15 years ago for the first one that they're doing. Well, you train where we're getting ready to fight. Mom, what you're not understanding is we're getting ready to fight in America. And here it is 15 years later. And that was just literally just a training exercise. Almost maybe what kind of Jade Helm is. Which I believe Jade Helm is something much bigger. But
about a week ago,
it could just be a training
leaked to the internet of soldiers in what was supposed to be a, quote, dirty bomb drill in California. Video got leaked to some people that showed up. It was troops in what was set up as a mock internment camp chasing down people that were screaming, "I'm an American citizen, let me out of here, I have rights," and chasing them down to the ground, cuffing them, and taking them into the building.
Yeah. Well, you have to prepare for that. There's so many different outcomes, or so many different scenarios that could lead
there was the
to
one
American
in Florida.
citizens
I'm
needing. Hence why there are FEMA camps. See, what you have to start understanding, Brian, is I don't want you don't have to start understanding. You do understand it pretty much, but
I understand.
There's a lot of people who are trying to look at things in a very objective manner instead of a subjective manner, which means like, well, I'm looking at this as like, what are they getting ready to do to us? And objectively, when you look at it objectively and almost put yourself in the shoes of, like, not a military commander, but somebody who's overlooking the whole thing, to them, it's like, okay, like Alex Jones says, they're building FEMA camps because they're trying to lock us up and it's internment camps and it's going to be like Nazi Germany up in here and they're going to take away the guns. And it's like, to a military commander, they might be building FEMA camps because they've literally had 10 different scenarios placed in front of them of how United States citizens could start to riot and go crazy and shit could get completely out of hand, and the only thing that they can do to start to solve the situation or start to create peace again or create some sort of less chaos is to find the American citizens that are the biggest instigators, the people at the front of packs of rioters.
According to the Army's own
with
documents,
bats and throwing Molotov cocktails.
The biggest terrorist threat right now is not ISIS; it's gun owners, veterans, Christians, etc.
In their mind, they're not thinking they're doing anything wrong.
Now, here's what I'm talking. You think objectively? Okay, objectively, what do they think is about to happen that's going to make veterans revolt and build IEDs?
I don't think they know, dude. I don't think they know. We give them a lot of credit, and I don't think they know. A lot of times we give the government a lot of credit, like, and 9/11, I think I give them credit for that. I give them credit as far as they knew a lot, and they were involved. They had their hands involved a lot, you know. Maybe not the government itself, hey, Mr. Big Brother government, but elements and certain people in the government were definitely highly involved in that, I believe. But as far as a lot of other things, I think we give them a lot of credit for things. When we were leading up to December 21st of 2012, do you know how many documentaries, even Jesse Ventura did one, how many documentaries and stories were out there and videos you could find out there of people talking about DUMBs, deep underground military bases.
Yes.
Okay? And that was the reason DUMBs were being built all over the country. And there was plenty of people, and it was well-known news that there were plenty of wealthy people that were building underground facilities for themselves. But when you would watch any of those kind of documentaries talking about that, they'd say, we also have military contracts. We're not allowed to talk about them, but we also have a lot of military contracts. That's ramping up more. Like, there's a lot of people who call us and we can't get it done because we're actually building for military applications right now or for the government, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's contingency stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, why are they building so many deep underground bases? And it was like, well, because 2012, they know 2012. No, the possibility that 2012 could happen, there was an actual possibility. They weren't really sure. They were looking at all the data, how we look at all the data, and we're like, there's a few different possibilities here and a few like likely possibilities, or even if they are unlikely, if we're not prepared for them, we're fucked if it comes. You know what I'm saying? And that is a slight possibility, so let's prepare for it. Maybe that's what Jade Helm is. They don't know what's getting ready to happen. Maybe they have a complete knowledge of what's getting ready to happen, but maybe they don't. And this is just their way of trying to prepare for something that could happen in a year from now. Jade Helm will go off without a hitch, and everything's back to normal in Texas and all these states. And it's like, oh well, Jade Helm wasn't this big like conspiracy or this big thing for the end of September. It's like, that's my overwhelming feeling, is how I did with Comet Elenin, is I was like waiting for it to come and waiting for it to happen, and then kind of slightly with December 21st, 2012. But now it's just like, I'm not really, I can't really just sign up onto this and just say, oh, there's definitely some shit going to happen. All these convergences. I feel like 6 months from now I'm going to be looking back at it like, so what was the real purpose of all of that? What was the real purpose? Instead of right now where I'm like, something's getting ready to happen. It's like, I hate jumping into that mindset because then I feel like a dumbass when I'm looking back like, well, what was the real purpose? One, I got to try and fucking ignore the fact that I freaked out and was like, I wasn't really too intelligent in the way that I handled it, or too rational in the way that I handled it. Let me try and like figure out what it was, you know, like, or what the reasoning, or who was behind pushing that it was definitely going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because those same people pushing that shit that it's definitely going to happen are some of the people that the military are fucking watching, and they're like, oh shit, this is definitely going to happen. We got to fucking get prepared. And it's like, in all reality, they ain't really going to happen. It's just speculation, you know what I'm saying? They don't, like, we give them a lot more credit than we really should. All right.
Moving on, because
we are so way over time. Okay. What we're going to do, Brian, we're just going to touch on the next one and wrap it up, okay? We'll save the last two for next week, because they're not really... And I just don't want to go way too overtime.
Yeah.
And this is going to take us over enough. Tell me about this 8-year-old from Africa.
Interesting.
This 8-year-old from Africa coming to America.
Caught smuggling an 8-year-old from Africa in a suitcase into Spain. And...
Sweet.
The X-ray, when the suitcase went through the X-ray detector, it detected an 8-year-old boy inside.
I think there was a picture of it. Isn't there a picture of it online?
There is a picture of this kid in the fetal position, curled up in this suitcase, and it's...
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
Incredible.
Dude.
Life is that bad where they were that you're going to resort to that? Smuggling the human in the suitcase.
My question is, what was it like on the plane? Because that's...
wow, yeah.
No, but on the plane where the cargo is, it's not... what's the word? I want to say compressed... It's not pressurized. It's not pressurized, so it's hard to breathe. Your breathing would...
And it's not heated either.
Well, he's from Africa, dude. I don't think he really cares about the heat problem. I think it's more cold. Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, exactly. It's not heated, so... Shut up, Nick. I thought you were saying it's really hot in there.
Apparently thousands of African
Nick.
Migrants attempt to enter the Spanish territories every year, and this one just happened to get caught in a suitcase. The father lives in the Canary Islands. He tried to cross the border a few hours later. But it says the 19-year-old woman carrying the suitcase was not related to the boy, but had been paid by the father to smuggle him in.
What if she was taking him up the escalator and then fucking, like, he shifted inside the thing and she lost control of it and he tumbled down the escalator and everybody's like, oh, ma'am, your bag. Let me get your bag. And she's like, no. Please, no. I got it. Don't worry. I got it. And they're like, no. Oh, wow. This bag is heavy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And she's like sitting there thinking, like, I hope he doesn't have a broken rib or something like that. I hope he didn't crack his neck or something, you know?
Got a body in here?
I don't know, dude. The whole thing, it's just, honestly, I'm speechless.
That's what, when I first saw it, I'm like, no, this can't be. Wow, it is.
I don't think things are that bad, though. Well, maybe things are that bad. When you think about Boko Haram, that pisses me off, Brian, that ISIS is talked about so much, and everything with the Middle East, and it's a threat to Israel, and we got to protect these poppy fields, and yada, yada. But Africa, Boko Haram is just like on a rampage. Boko Haram is trying to take over North Africa. right?
Yes.
Northern Africa. They're trying to take over, and nobody's going in.
There's a lot of different regimes.
I don't say nobody's going in to stop them. Oh, there's a lot of regimes. There's a lot of problems. A lot of drug warlords in Africa. But Boko Haram is.
If you really
have
no idea, if you watch the movie Lord of War with Nicolas Cage, when he's in Africa doing the arms deals, that is basically what's going on in Africa.
That whole movie is pretty close to what's going on
pretty good movie
in our world as far
how
as
shit works.
arms goes, because arms, we're told, well, police
It was
officers,
an accidental drop. They hit the wrong coordinates.
No. We're told,
when you're supply dropping, you don't hit the wrong coordinates. They know where they're dropping that shit.
There's a lot of people who haven't seen the movie, so they're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
No, well, that's not from the movie. That's from, like, today, what they're saying in the news, how ISIS and all these other groups are hitting U.S. weapons.
Okay.
Oh, they got them by accident. We dropped to the wrong coordinates. That doesn't happen. Our military doesn't
bullshit.
fuck up like
So when
that.
you hear about the UN and their anti-gun stance, and you also hear about the United States and...
Fast and Furious running guns into Mexico.
Well, yeah, but it's... Those kind of things will pop up, and people are surprised by them, but you really shouldn't be surprised by them, because when it comes down to it, we're led to believe, coming up and growing up, we're led to believe by police officers, or not by police officers, we're led to believe by our parents, and this is kind of goes with where we lied to, is that guns are bad, okay? Like, yes, guns are good as far as your Second Amendment right, and being able to right to bear arms, that's a good thing, and you need to be able to defend yourself, and sometimes a gun for self-defense is an okay thing to have, but a gun as far as, like, nobody is out there wanting to give people guns. Nobody's out there, like, there's no governments out there. That's what we're led to believe, is that there's no government like, here's guns, take guns, it's okay. Well, no, they're trying to arrest. That's like the highest. We're led to believe that if you're running guns and you're like a gun dealer, illegal gun dealer, like the government is out to get you. You're like creating bombs on your own. Like that's the way the government treats you.
They profile a lot too.
But
when
the thing is, when it comes to gun dealers, on a higher level, and it's the same with drugs, and it's the same with so many other illegal operations, human trafficking, on a higher level, the government's actually pushing that because it's their problem reaction solution. They create the problem, they control the reaction, they create the solution.
Yeah,
they've got us
fucking... The Hegelian dialectic.
They've got us
I'm just going to throw this on here
up
because it kind of ties in with what we're talking about with guns. Then we'll wrap it up real quick.
We are wrapping it up.
Now, this is short. Earlier this week, a video came out. These people did a social experiment. They're in a state where you're allowed to carry, you're allowed open carry.
Yep.
So they took an AR-15, put it on a white dude, casually dressed. He's walking down the street with an AR-15 over his shoulder, exercising his open carry right. Cop rolls up, kind of stops. Hey, man, why you got the AR-15? He's like, I'm just exercising my right. Okay, well, you have it for a reason? No, not really. I'm just carrying it. And cop, he asks him a few questions and lets him go. Then they take the same gun, dress a black dude in the same clothes, have him walk down the street. You see the cop drive by, U-turn, screech, jump out, gun in hand, on the ground, calls in 6 cars for backup.
Yeah, and that is... That,
same street,
there can be so much said about that, dude. There can be so much said about that, but all that comes down to
I'm
is
just throwing that out
racial
there because
profiling.
I saw that
That
yesterday.
doesn't come down to racism. Yes, that cop could have been a little bit racist for all we know, but that comes down to racial profiling and how police officers are trained to look at minorities.
Now, bear in mind, the guy had a gun over his shoulder,
doing something
but he's in a place where open carry is legal, and you don't need a reason. As the white guy proved, you can
more than racial profiling. What we need to get rid of the drug war. We need to get rid of racial profiling, and we need to implement crisis intervention training for all police officers. If you become a police officer, crisis intervention training is a part of becoming a police officer and something you have to pass.
That'd be a
crisis
good idea.
intervention training is basically training police officers to deal with mentally ill people went out on duty while they're on duty, and any kind of interaction or any kind of call that involves a mentally ill person, they don't roll up and pull out a gun on this person or start yelling at this person. Yeah. Get on the ground! You need to get on the ground now! It's like, no, it's, excuse me, sir, can we talk? And a lot of times when it comes to crisis, when you have crisis intervention training, you have officers ready to go in their day clothes, and mentally ill person, they show up. hey, how you doing, buddy? They're not in a police officer's uniform, whereas, like, the mentality is, and the mentality that police officers would like there to be, and they, like, keep pushing on us as the way that's supposed to be, is they have to have the authority. They're not rolling up on you in their regular clothes. They're rolling up on you with authority, and they got their badge on, and they look like a cop. They're playing the role of the cop and playing the role of authority figure, and they're going to talk to you in a certain way. You need to sit down and shut up. And it's like they're taught they're not taught, but yeah, they are taught. But they also believe that that's the way that it should be because they're authority figures, and sometimes they need to lay down the law, and they need to assert their dominance in many situations.
Well, before you lay down the law, make sure you know the law.
Well, also before you lay down the law, think about humanity. Think about your humanity, and think about
if that was you and the other guy.
Well, don't
was
make
in
it so
position.
black and white. Like everybody who looks like a bad guy is a bad guy. Like.
Yeah.
There's some people
it's almost
when you
like
do
you're
that,
guilty until proven innocent in some of their minds.
When you do that, sometimes you end up literally damaging a person for life, either killing them or damaging a person for life. In that video I saw,
because granted, what they did to the black dude was really, really beyond wrong. But even when he rolled up on the white guy questioning him, just even the cop asking him, any reason you're carrying that? I think even that's too far because, again, open carry was legal there. The cops should have just drove by and not said a word. Now, when what they did with the black guy, having like 7 police cars and a friggin' unit
but part of a cop's job is to ask questions, know what's going on, and know the beat of the city. Within reason. You know what I'm saying? If you're walking down the street, you're out in public. You know what I'm saying? You're out with that cop. It's not like that cop, you were sitting on your friend's porch and that cop, exactly. If you're sitting on your friend's porch and you got that thing sitting on your lap or whatever, or harnessed over your shoulder, and that cop drives by, sees you on the porch with the gun, and stops, gets out, walks up to the porch and says, hey, so what's going on? And he's being nice about it, but he's like, hey, so what's going on? That's a little much. But if you're out walking down the middle of the street or walking on the sidewalk.
He was strolling down the sidewalk.
Yeah, exactly. You're walking down the sidewalk and a cop sees you walking down the sidewalk, even if it's open carry, and you got not a handgun just on holstered.
No, this was an AR-15
You got an
loaded.
AR-15 and you're fucking walking with it out. It's like that cop, I don't want to say he has every right, but if he's a good cop or he's even a good human being, he's going to say, hey, what's up? Make sure you're not some psycho who's like, I'm just ready to kill everybody. I am walking down to the mall so that I can kill everybody. You know what I'm saying?
I'm here to kill them all because Alex Jones told me to.
If he didn't fucking stop and ask, he wouldn't be a good cop. But the thing is, racial profiling is where it gets out of hand. All right, Brian, on that note, we're going to smuggle this show out in a suitcase, all right?
Oh, I like what you did there.
Oh, I did it.
He went there, ladies and gentlemen.
I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on BrainStorming Episode 6. You can find us on Facebook.com/BrainStorming Podcast.
YouTube.com/Where We Lied To.
Yes, YouTube.com/Where We Lied To. There's also Facebook.com/Where We Lied To. I got to start updating that stuff and putting our videos on there and stuff. And coming soon, WhereWeLiedTo.com. Coming soon. And I don't know. I guess that's it. There's a battle on for your brain.
And let your brain evolve.
Woo! So thank you for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Thank you for joining. Please like and subscribe. Your kids will love it.
Like, subscribe, comment.
Your kids are going to love it. You might not be ready for this, but your kids are going to love it. I'll tell you what.
And if they don't love it, we're going to put them in a suitcase and smuggle them into Spain.
Gonna go back in time. All right.
Cue outro.
Yep, cue outro. And let the music go.
Take us out, Joe.
I got all things that are good.